Okay, so real quick, just to bring everybody up to speed, well, obviously I brought y'all up to speed, but to tell you what we got going on here. So we got to start all over again. Both tracks got to come off. It broke. It let go right here, and both sprockets set down on the subframe. As you can see, there's now a shiny spot there, and one over here because when it broke, they did the splits. And this one already had a bunch of bark marks in it to begin with that were all rusted over, so that either the subframe on this side had broke before, or after doing some measuring we found out that this pin this whole mount was actually fabricated like 3/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch shorter than the other side, so this sprocket is closer to the frame. So either it broke before, or the way these subframes were welded together, as you load the combine, it would let this subframe flex and get up into that sprocket. Either way, not good. So that needs straightened out. That's another reason why we're doing this, because we were scared of that. So like I say, both tracks got to come back off, and we're after these spacers. These got to come off so Dad can get them back to the shop. So track's got to come off, final drive's got to come off, spacers got to come off. And because the base for the whole new subframe is going to start with a modification to these guys. So that's basically where we're at. Hopefully it shouldn't take much more than by the end of the week, as long as materials aren't too hard to come by in short order. And real quick, while they're on the combine so that you can see it, had a couple people say just move the tracks further back to gain more clearance for the head. Can't do that. That clearance right there determines how far back the tracks can go, because you can't move the final drives. And you got to have this space here so that when the tracks rock back, it doesn't cram that roller up into the sprocket. So without taking the combine and moving it up more, which it's already 13 foot tall with the tracks on, we don't want to go any taller than that, because then you're not going to be able to transport it. The track location on the combine is what it is. That's not an option as far as getting more clearance up here. And also yesterday, while we were looking at all this, I was looking at the tracks and figured out that the rollers on this thing are Simmel, S-I-M-M-E-L. I guess it was an Italian track manufacturer back in the 80s that got sold to Fiat, and then Fiat sold them to somebody else, and they're still making new track components. They're just under a different name, and I can't remember the name of it right now. And then it appears that the Grousers and Lynx are actually Case. It looks like a Case part number in the side, and if you walk out and look at the tracks on that 1150 sitting right there, the Lynx and Grousers are identical. Like, other than those are narrower, I think those are like 20s and these are 24s, but other than that, the Lynx and Grousers and everything on this are identical to that Case sitting out there. So, and that being said, those Simmel rollers are probably would have been the aftermarket Case rollers at the time. So I'm guessing that this whole track frame was built out of Case undercarriage parts. Okay, there's both tracks back off. Could have happened a whole lot faster, but we had a slight incident with the door after we got the first one off. I went to let the door back down after Dad pulled out with a forklift, and I don't know what happened, but it got down like half a panel, and the door decided to take off on its own, and before I knew what happened, it jumped like a whole panel, and the door cables came off the rollers, and it was hung up like a panel and a half down, and it took us about 45 minutes to sort that back out. So that was interesting. But anyway, now that those are off, Dad can do the measuring he needs, and then we can finish taking the subframe off. All right, so that's what we were after right there, is the axle spacers, because these have to be modified, and then everything else for the new subframe uses that for a base. So you'll see how all that works out when the time comes. And then these are the stupid light, that's obviously what those are for. These are the temporary cylinder stops that are just for now, and when we get the feeder house situation figured out, which it sounds like there might be a guy that found me a rice machine down in Arkansas, so hopefully that comes true. But those won't be a permanent, have to be with the tracks. These are just for this season. So anyhow, I think that's what I got for you. Can't really start doing anything. I mean, I could try to explain it to you, but without something to visualize, it ain't gonna make a whole lot of sense right now. So we'll just wait until things start coming together. So with that being said, that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.